In the US, the Trump administration is undergoing its first major cabinet shakeup, with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz ousted from his post. He'd faced calls to resign after accidentally inviting a journalist to a group chat that discussed sensitive military operations on the private messaging app Signal. But President Trump says he will nominate Waltz as US ambassador to the United Nations, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio taking on another role, the role of interim national security advisor. I asked US analyst William Glucroft what he makes of the timing of Waltz's dismissal.
Well, weeks or maybe months, depending on the reporting you want to see or to take in coming out of this story. Signalgate may play just a small, if any, role in the ousting or the reshuffling, I guess we say, of Mike Waltz. If you listen to the Trump administration, Signalgate doesn't play a huge role. I was actually surprised that it wasn't Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, that didn't get more heat. Although that could be just the complicated aspects of trying to find a defense secretary, going through the Senate confirmation process. Again, that's just easier to oust someone like Waltz that the president can simply just pick rather than going through the Senate again. So Signalgate, again, we just don't know to what extent it surely played some role. It was, even for the Trump administration, that's very good at sort of brushing off any criticisms. It wasn't a good look. But it might not be the deciding factor. There's a lot of reporting coming out of the White House that Mike Waltz just wasn't very well liked inside the West Wing, and it might be a convenient excuse to get him out and over to somewhere else in Trump world.
Could there also be an internal power struggle going on here?
Well, in the White House, I think power struggle is just called Tuesday. As it is anywhere in the center of political power. The difference between performance and politics at this level of government, there's really no distinction. There's clearly always, in any administration, a jockeying of power, people trying to oust or undermine or go over the heads of someone they might not like or someone they might not agree eye to eye on certain policies. So there's certainly an element of this going on here. And this really comes down to this fundamental question with Donald Trump specifically, is where does the power lie in the Trump administration? Is Mike Waltz, traditionally national security advisor, a very influential role, close ear of the president? Is that even a position that matters anymore? Secretary of State Marco Rubio, does that matter anymore? UN ambassador, given what we know what the Trump administration's position in the United Nations is, does it matter that Mike Waltz will now lead the UN? That's the real challenge here, is wondering where exactly power and influence lies in the Trump administration.
And let's talk more about Rubio. I mean, he's Secretary of State and interim national security advisor now, two very different roles in structure. Why Rubio?
And of course, let's not forget interim head of USAID, interim head of the National Archives. So he's wearing a lot of hats, juggling a lot of balls, spinning a lot of plates. We can use all kinds of metaphors for that. You know, my first reaction is that Marco Rubio, whatever he's doing to navigate this very complicated web of power, he's clearly doing it right. Remember, Rubio was a long time ago not a Trump supporter, like many Republicans, was very critical of Trump. And we know what Trump and his acolytes do to people who dissent in even the smallest possible way. And so for Marco Rubio to not only get brought into the fold of the Trump administration, but now be brought into wearing all of these hats, is an impressive turn of the tables in the fate and the political destiny of Marco Rubio. That said, as I was just saying before, and as we've seen already in the first and second Trump terms, people's fortunes can change very quickly. Marco Rubio looks like he is riding high now. That can change tomorrow, right? Because again, we just don't know to what extent Donald Trump or his closest advisors or his closest confidants really place what respect or authority they place in any of these positions. So Marco Rubio having all of these positions could be a sign of confidence in him. It could also completely inversely be showing that they don't really care about him. They want to spread him thin so that he can't really act with any kind of authority. It really can go both ways. And that's what's so confusing or complicated specifically about the Trump administration.
It could all mean so many different things. William Glucroft, thank you very much for breaking down the story for us.